is your Classic Metal Show right here on Heavy Metal Television. And joining us today to talk about just an insane amount of brand new music that he just released with his band Psycho Synner. It is the Grim Synner himself. It is Mr. Jeremy Spencer. Jeremy, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. How's it going?
It's going great, man.
Good.
I got to say right from the start, dude, you're a bit of a wild man. 100 songs or roughly 100 songs at one time. To release it is crazy enough at one time. To write it in one kind of period, small period of time, absolutely insane, man. So why don't we start there, man, and just talk a little bit about, you know, doing this much music and how you stayed focused on it, really, because that's, you know, I mean, I've been interviewing bands for 20 years and nobody has that kind of focus.
Yeah, well, it really happened because of the pandemic. There was nothing to do. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't play shows.
Right.
So we were just kind of locked away in our studio, and we just were writing, and it just felt natural. It was flowing good. There was really nothing forced. So it was fun. You know, we look forward every day to getting in there and writing and knocking out new stuff. And we started to accumulate a huge body of work after a while. And we're like, shit, all right, well, let's just keep going, because the pandemic was still happening. So we ended up with 9 albums. I don't know why we landed on that number. It's just kind of like, okay, well, it's time to get this stuff out. Let's just wrap it up. Let's stop at 9.
Sure.
So we probably could have kept going, which we already are on to album 10.
Oh, geez. Well, dude, did you find any points or are there songs that you threw away because you were just like, we're just retreading? You know, when you're doing that kind of music, it would be easy to do something and say, oh, well, we kind of did that here, or we kind of did that there. Did you find any of that, or was it completely fresh ideas literally every time out?
It was pretty fresh. At the end, I think I had repeated a melody or two, and I went back in and changed it because I was like, I think that sounds pretty similar. We need to fix that. So I was just fortunate to get on a roll, and a lot of stuff was flowing. We were in a good place. So I don't know why that happened, but it's pretty cool. And sure. I think it may even end up being some kind of unofficial world record to release all that stuff at once. I don't think I've ever seen a band that's released 9 albums on the same day.
Well, dude, the crazy thing is between you and it's weird because you both kind of do the horror rock type thing, but between you and Lordy in the last month, 16 albums, because Lordy just released a 7 album set called Lordiversary. It's like, all right, it's almost like you were like, okay, I'll see that and raise you some, you know?
Well, yeah, no, I don't know. That's interesting that happened like that. I guess maybe it was a similar thing for them. There was just nothing, you couldn't play shows, so they were writing, but good on them. That's good. Yeah. It's a lot of work, man. I know what it takes. So good. I'm impressed. That's good for them.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's great to have a lot of music. The one thing that I think is great about the music that you've done is that the way you've broken it down into the 9 albums leaves it as a different listening experience each time. It's not like it's like some mishmash of shit that just, you know, sort of all feels the same and gets lost. You know, you've got the acoustic record if you want something a little lighter. You've got the Balls Out Heavy record. You've got the Satanic record. You've got Real Industrial record. I mean, it really fleshed itself out in a way that makes sense, no?
Yes, thank you for noticing that too. It was important that we didn't want to make the same record twice, or we wanted to take people on a journey for each record and do different vibes for each record. Some bands can do the same record every time and you know what you're going to get and it's awesome and it worked for them. Like AC/DC has released the same record their whole career and it rules every time. You know what you're going to get. It kicks your ass every time. It's so great. But we just didn't really want to do that. I'm like a huge fan of Bowie and Prince, and they would always change up their record completely different from the one before each time they released something. So I always look forward to what's the vibe going to be like on the next one, you know, when I was growing up. So that's kind of, I guess, how I took my influence from them, I guess, in a way of trying to do different things every record.
Sure. When you were doing this music, did you write that way? Did you write toward a theme each time, or did you have this whole collection of songs and then you were like, well, this fits this one and this fits that one? And
usually we would talk about the kind of vibe we were going for, and then I have a huge page full of titles that I always collect. If I see something cool, I'll jot it down, save it for later. So then I'll just plug in a title and then write a story around that. So usually I would pick the theme that the vibe we were going for, and then I would find the first song, the first title, and then it would kind of all fall into place from that.
Right. Okay. Very cool, man. And it definitely works. It's such a cool listen. I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second, which I guess with your band is perfect.
Yeah.
But releasing them all at once, I agree it makes a huge splash.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is a lot of this music's going to get lost on a lot of people because it's so much music put at people at once. Do you worry that people, especially where you're a new band and, you know, where you're a new band, people are not going to all of a sudden gravitate and sit down and listen to 10 hours of music?
Yeah, that's okay. I kind of put it out for myself. I got tired of the let's release one song every 2 months and try to stay in people's faces bullshit. That's what everyone does. And that's cool for them. I just did not want to do that. And I was like, let's put out a lot of shit and let people, you know, kind of go through it and figure out what works for them or what doesn't. And because whenever I discover a new band, I want to find out everything about them. Like when I discovered Ghost, I was like, why don't they have more? I need more of this. And I love that shit. But so that's kind of why I did it. I'm like, let's just get a lot of stuff out there. It's not like we're going to quit making records. Let's just put it all out and then just keep going. So we're already halfway done with record 10.
Right. You know, dude, and that's one of the things on this side I always shake my head about is when I talk to a band or something, or I get an email from a publicist and it says, this is embargoed until blah, blah, blah date. And I'm like, why are you hiding it? What are you doing? Let people hear it as soon as they can hear it and get, you know, feel it.
It's really changed, man. It's different than it was, but I miss the days of releasing a whole album where it takes you on a whole listening experience rather than one song every couple months or whatever. That shit's lost. But that's why I'm like, let's release whole records again. And I want to get into the artwork and check the whole vibe and experience the whole thing. That's what I miss. So that's kind of another reason why we did it.
Sure. Now, is there physical product for all 9 of these?
CDs are already available. Vinyl is back ordered because of all the pressing plants.
Right. Sure.
It's but it should be available in February. You can pre-order it now if you go to psychosynner.com. There's links for all of our socials and all the merch and stuff like that and all the records.
Very cool, man. Well, dude, I'm gonna tell you straight up, honestly, I've listened to all 9 records.
Yeah,
but I have not, you know, I haven't digested them. Obviously, I literally just got them when they came out last week. Cool. So, you know, I did listen to all 9. I spent a lot of time to make sure that I could talk to you like I knew something instead of just, hey, got these records and I don't know nothing about them.
Yeah.
The one that I'm feeling the most is Dying to See You. It's just heavier and it's hard and it's, you know, and I love that, man. I love that side of what you're doing.
Cool.
For you, which of the releases do you kind of gravitate to where you might be progressing to as you go forward?
I don't know that we're progressing towards it, but my favorite of the 9 is the psychedelic record, As the Demon Dances Under the Blood Red Sky. That's probably my favorite just because it's so unique and every song is such a weird vibe and it's really kind of a psychedelic-y kind of record. So that's my favorite right now. It may change.
Sure.
But I don't know that we may make another record in that style, but always heavy stuff is going to happen because that's just what we're all about.
Sure. Now, obviously, as a quote unquote new band, you're doing something. You're doing a lot of things that nobody's done before.
Yeah.
You know, the unique thing I think here is that you literally come to people discovering your band for the first time with an entire catalog with as many songs as Led Zeppelin ever recorded. You know, I mean, if you go to that route, how do you go about picking songs to kind of focus on, like not necessarily singles, but the focus tracks for shows and for, you know, that you're going to make videos for without confusing fans into hearing an acoustic song, a really heavy song, an industrial song, to where maybe people wouldn't understand what the band is?
Well, I think if you're going to pick for live, it's easy. Gravitate towards the up-tempo, high-energy stuff. That seems to always translate live.
Sure.
Unless if you have a hit ballad, then you throw the ballad in. But if not, kick people's ass. That's why whenever I go to a show, I want energy and hot up tempo. It's cool when bands are playing a long time and then they'll break down and do a little acoustic segment in the show, which we could do that too because we have an acoustic record. But as of now, like we played a show last week or 10 days ago, something like that, and we just tried to keep it as up tempo as we could. It seems to really translate. So, and as far as picking songs for radio, you know, you pick the best 2 songs off each record, release one every 10 weeks. That's a couple years worth of time right there. So we're good, man.
you're literally on that Metallica 3-year run, right?
Yeah. You know, we like to create. It's not something that's a chore for us. It flows naturally. We get along really well. So it's like, do it while it feels right until it doesn't feel right. So right now we're in a good place.
Sure. For you personally, is part of the reason that you're so active kind of setting the tone that it's not the old band? And I do not want to have a 5-finger death punch discussion as much as just they, and when you were in the band, you as well, everything was done in the kind of the organized business way of doing things. You did a record, you did a month of press, you did a year of touring, you disappeared for a while, you came back, that very formulaic thing that big rock bands do. Now, doing something new. It seems like you're on every level, from the look to the way you're releasing music to, everything. It almost seems like you're doing the other one, like the pendulum swinging to the other side. Is that realistic or fair? Or?
I think so. Yeah. Repeating stuff that I've done doesn't stimulate me as much anymore. So I wanted to do something different. And like I said, I've never heard of any bands that have released this bulk coming out of the gate. So it's our way of doing something different. And I think the fans benefit because there's more material to go through, and it's a fun experience. Like, whenever I discover a new band, I look for every single thing I can find on them. So now there's a lot of stuff they can digest, which I think is cool.
Sure. No, it definitely is. Now, one thing that did change was the name. You changed the name. Was that a legal thing, or was that just weren't feeling psychosexual anymore, or what was that?
When we first started, actually before I even turned it into a band, I was doing this as a solo project, and it was more kind of 80s new wave poppier style, and the lyrics were more sexually charged. I was always a huge influence of Prince, so that kind of spilled over lyrically into some of the stuff I was doing. But then whenever I started adding guitars and making it heavier, it was still kind of in that zone. But then we started getting away from that, and I'm like, I don't think this fits anymore. Right. I don't think the name works, so let's change it with something that's more appropriate. So that's kind of why we did the overhaul. We are a new band, even though we have so much material, we're still finding our way as you go.
Sure.
And I think a lot of bands don't end up like the way they start. I mean, when Kiss first came out, they looked different, they sounded different, and then they started progressing and getting, evolving more, and then their look changed and all that stuff. So I think some of the bands that I like, their better material comes with age, and experience. So that's kind of the same thing that happened with us. We kind of didn't know what we were doing and then found our way as we went along.
Sure. Now, the other thing that I think people will notice with Psycho Synner is the obvious look, especially with the videos. And if anybody hasn't checked out the videos, go check them out. To me, reminds me a lot of Ghost meets Gwar. If you want to, if you want an A to a B, it's that kind of a combination. I think right now in today's era, 2021, 2022, that is a really good thing to do the costume thing again, to do the makeup thing again, because I think people are looking for a show more than what we've had the past 20 years or so since grunge, where it became, shoe top rock. It really seems like now is the time that people, maybe it's because of the short attention span, but you can almost do like a little play for people in 3 minutes. I think the time is right for that. Are you feeling that too?
Absolutely. And it was really important to me to do something visually that people are going to leave the show going, whoa, dude, did you check out what they look like or what they did? I want it to be Kiss, man. That's really all it is. Right. I wanted to get it as close to Kiss as possible without having Kiss money.
I'm sure you wouldn't mind having Kiss money too, though, right?
I think, yeah, well, even more so just for the show purposes, because the stuff you could do production wise would be incredible, you know?
Right. Definitely, man. Well, dude, obviously, man, you know, for people that don't know, you were in Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah.
And I go online and I just see you getting crucified by their fans, which, you know, it's like you go online or you see the comments on the YouTube. It's like, dude, what, why? And I'm going to ask you, and you probably don't know the answer to this, but why does everybody think that when you start something new, that it's automatically going to be a clone of what you did do? You know, it's like for you specifically, the presentation pretty much said from day one, this is not going to be Five Finger. And yet half the comments are like, this doesn't sound anything like Five Finger. It's like, dude, what are you looking for?
And it's funny because a lot of those same haters were like, Five Finger fucking sucks.
Right.
And then, you know, I come out with this, which is totally different. Like, this doesn't sound like Five Finger. This sucks. Okay, well, sorry. You know, but we'll get back to work, you know.
Right.
You know, it's okay. It's not going to be for everyone. It's different. I intentionally made it different. I was in Five Finger 14 years, had a great run, loved a lot of that. Very grateful to have been a part of it and learned a lot and make a living, meet a lot of great people, had a lot of great experiences, but it was time, you know, I wanted to do other things. And I was worn out physically. I needed to take some time off and get some stuff fixed with my back. And now I'm feeling younger and lighter and better.
Right.
So I'm kind of like have a Terminator back now. I got a new spine. So things are good, man. You know, I just didn't want to do the same band. To me, that's not stimulating, and it's never going to be as good. It's, you know, you have that band, which is really good at what they do. And it was never like, well, I need to do something that competes with that or try to be that. That never entered my mind.
Right. And to be honest, it shouldn't, because it's not that band. If you wanted to do that band, I'm sure you could have stayed, you know,
exactly.
know? I mean, that's really what that comes down to, man. But
yeah.
Obviously, man, you do have brand new material with Psycho Synner. You have so much new material. You said you're playing shows. What are you planning for the next, let's say the next 12 months? Are you planning to get out there and tour extensively? Are you planning to get in a van and tour? How are you planning to do it?
I plan on taking a bus, but yeah, we're going to tour as much as we can. We're working on a tour for starting the end of January right now. After this call, I have another call talking about touring. So I'll know more and I'll announce it as soon as I can. But our plan is to get out and play as much as possible. And we already have something in the works right now.
Sure. And you can dodge this one if you want to, but I'll ask it. Did you make enough connections in the 14 years previous where you'll have some people on bigger bands that will do you the solid and take you with them on tour so that you can spread the word quicker?
Well, I would think I did, but that doesn't mean that they will do that. So hopefully they will. I guess we'll see whenever we test it. But if not, we'll figure out our own path and we'll just get out there and earn our stripes like everyone else.
Sure. Very cool, man. Well, dude, where should we send people to check out Psycho Synner and fill their ears with 9 albums full of material?
Go to psychosynner.com. It's Synner with a Y. All the links are there to all the socials and all the links to pre-order vinyl or buy CDs or whatever merchandise. So go to psychosynner.com.
All right. Well, one more time, the band is Psycho Synner, spelled Synner. And even if you don't buy it initially, at least go to YouTube Music or Spotify or somewhere and give it a listen, because there's bound to be something that you definitely will like on it. And Jeremy, once again, man, thanks for joining me here on Classic Metal Show.
Oh, thanks a lot. I appreciate your time.